Welcome to Talk Legal, Special Edition, brought to you by the Young Lawyers section of the Chicago Bar Association, featuring Chastity Burns, Marty Gold, Kenny Matuszewski, and Jeff Moskowitz, the chair of the Young Lawyers section.
Welcome to a special edition of Talk Legal, a production of the Young Lawyers section and the Racial Justice Coalition. In honor of Black History Month, our program will be highlighting African American bar associations in our area. Today, we are very honored to be featuring the Black Men Lawyers Association president, Michael Wilder, who as of last week is now on the board of directors at his firm, Littler Mendelson. Congratulations, Michael. We are so very happy to have you here and join us.
Hey. Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate it. But happy to be here.
And so I'll let Marty start things off, and so take it away.
Thanks, Mike, for being present today. My understanding is that you're also, in addition to being on the board of directors at Littler Mendelson, you are the co-founder of the Black Men's Lawyers Association. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you came about creating that organization?
Yeah, sure. So in 2006, graduated from law school, and I thought about starting this organization. And I got out there, asked a few people if they would support me, and they said, yeah, you're a little too junior for us to kind of back you and get behind that, right? Fast forward 10 years later, 2016, a brand new associate at law school named Sunga, who was at Baker & McKenzie at the time, asked me the same question. Hey, why isn't there an organization like the Black Men Lawyers Association? I know there's the Black Women Lawyers Association. So at that point in time, I figured I could get out there and get something started. So we did. We created this organization in 2017, did all the paperwork with Illinois. From there, we developed a board of directors. It was 7 of us, just to kind of figure out our framework for what we wanted to do and be as an organization. After that, we grew to a board of 12, which we are right now. And we've grown to over 300 members, 350 members actually, throughout Chicago, where it's based. But we also have a lot of members in different cities as well.
You have a pretty impressive board of directors with, partners and attorneys from various big firms in the city, general counsel's offices at some big companies. Can you tell us a little bit about what was the mission for the Black Men's Lawyers Association?
Yeah, sure. And something I forgot to mention earlier too, people have asked, how did I become the the chairman of the organization? And it's a funny story, actually, so I wanted to tell it. During the first board meeting, 7 of us were there. I got up to go to the restroom. They then held a vote on who should be the chairman, and they voted me. So then I came back, and I've been chairman ever since. So that's how I became the chairman. But they felt like it was best because of my vision, and my vision was Sunga. So that's how I became the chairman. But we developed the 3 main reasons for the organization. Right, there's three main mission statements, if you will. One is fellowship. All right. We believe that through fellowship, we can get to know each other as individuals, as men, as Black men, and as lawyers, and as men in our communities, so that we can build together. So that fellowship component is important. And we'll get to a little later some of the things that we do and how fellowship's incorporated. The second one is leadership. We feel that as men that have law degrees, that are learned, if you will, that we should be leaders in our society. And so leadership is a very important component where current leaders, we're teaching some other folks, our mentees, how to become leaders. And the leaders that are already in leadership roles are just trying to refine their skills because we can always do better. The third cornerstone is positive change. No matter what we do, we want to create some level of positive change, whether it's in the law practice, whether it's in the legal field, whether it's in our communities, and whether it's on Chicago, Illinois, or federally based. We want to make sure to create that positive change.
2020 was actually a year when BMLA really took off and really seemed to grow a lot. So is there anything that you think you and the rest of the board did to bring on new members? Were there any events or any types of signature programming that you had developed, especially especially during a pandemic?
Yeah, we did. So, obviously the pandemic had us all kind of shut in, right? So we're all still home, still working from home. So that played a role in our 2020 pretty heavily. We were very much an in-person type of group where we met in person. We had roundtables every quarter. It was always at a steakhouse or at a restaurant of some sort or at a cigar bar where we just kind of got our fellowship together, right? We then had to transition to virtual and start Zooming. And instead of meeting every quarter, because of the impact of the COVID-19 on the workplace and on folks mentally and professionally, as well as the fact that there was the police brutality that was happening and that's going on, a lot of racial situations that were occurring throughout the United States. We felt that as Black male lawyers that we should come together and have conversations and discussions about how that's affecting our membership. And so we started having, instead of every quarter having a roundtable, we had a roundtable every single month. And there were always ongoing conversations via email as well. And that, I think, word got around. People wanted to talk about how the pandemic is affecting them, how what's happening in the news is affecting them, how racism is impacting African-American men and men in general. Women are also members of Black Male Lawyers Association. Folks else that are not African-American are members of the association as well. We're not restricted, but everyone wanted to be a part of the conversation. And we just grew from there. It went from having about, looking at about 50 people on the screen, 50 squares to 100 squares. It just kept growing. So we think that we've been a very valuable resource during this time, and people are gravitating towards it.
One thing I wanted to touch upon was your definition of fellowship. So can you tell me a little bit more about, like, say, fellowship and about really kind of coming together as an organization and just as members of BMLA? Yeah,
I mean, fellowship we found to be, there's always the standard meeting time, right? We're going to meet and have these roundtables, right? There's also the general assembly meeting where we meet as a big group so it's not specific to a particular topic. We also have discussions where there is no topic. It's come and let's just talk. Let's just talk to each other and whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your mind, let's have a discussion about it. And then we started doing these, it can get a little tough when you have 50, 100, 150 squares on there. So we started doing, setting it up so that people could talk to each other and network among smaller groups within the Zoom function. That allows us to do that. So virtually, we've been able to kind of like grow and talk to each other and get to know each other better, even though we're not in the same exact room with each other. And there's been some benefits to that, because previously we would have an event, it would be in Chicago. And if you lived in Chicago and you were available, you could come to the event. But if you lived in LA or you moved to Texas or you moved to Florida or somewhere, you could not participate. We didn't think about doing anything virtual or Zooming people in. But now we know that once the world gets back to some level of normal, that we're going to have in person. And for our folks that can't be in the room because they live somewhere else, we have a lot of members outside the state. We're going to be able to Zoom them in and have them attend virtually as well. So we're going to use this as an additional layer to our ability to fellowship amongst each other.
That aside, can you tell us a little bit about some of the, there was a lot that was going on this year in regards to things in the country, dealing with the pandemic. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the topics that were important to your organization that came up at some of these meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first ones that came out during the summer was, how does it feel to be a Black man right now? That was the topic, right? And we wanted people to, men are typically told, don't talk about your emotions, let's not get all into the fuzziness of emotions. But we wanted this to be a time where you just opened up and we could have a frank and open conversation about how you're feeling about police brutality, how you're feeling about comments that were made by people in high office, how you're feeling about decisions made locally in Chicago. And so we had these discussions. So that was one topic. Another one was, how do you survive practicing law during the middle of a pandemic, right? Because your clients may be filing for bankruptcy because they're not in business. They may still need your help, but they can't pay you just as much as they used to. That's a challenge. You've got the courthouses that were, and to an extent, shut down for a while. So as lawyers, if you can't fully practice law at 100%, how do you make up for the other 25%? So we talked about, how does it feel and what do you do as a Black man in Chicagoland area practicing law during the middle of a pandemic, and how do you work on that? We talked about finances. How do you survive financially? How do you survive mentally? How do you, even when you're struggling, how do you still give back, right? You're worried about yourself, but there's a lot of people that are doing worse than you. How do you deal with that? How do you help those folks? So we talked about that. We had a job fair preparedness workshop because we understood that the law students were trying to get a job during a pandemic, and that we don't know when it's going to actually end. So we wanted to make sure they had the best tools possible to be prepared for that. And so those are some of the things that we've had discussions about, and they've been. Oh, we also had a panel of judges that came on to talk about what does it look like to run to become a judge in Chicago or in Illinois in general, and it was eye-opening to hear all that's involved. Name recognition, knowing certain people, and you better save up some money. These things aren't cheap to try to have a campaign. And we've got another topic coming up soon about if you want to run for state or federal office, how do you do it? So we're tying all that stuff together, and it's just been remarkable. I'll tell you, each month we decide what the conversation will be for the following month because we want it to be relevant. Our next conversation is going to be the election and insurrection to talk about everything that just happened. There's some highs and lows that occurred over the last 30 days. And how does that affect you mentally and physically? And as a lawyer, how does that make you feel?
Well, what are some of BMLA's biggest goals this year? Just whether in terms of next year, 5 years, and really in eternity?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Kenny. Yes, we expect it to continue to grow on a national level. When we first started this off, literally we were sitting at a restaurant, Sung and I, thinking about Chicago, right? That was our whole focus, targeting the law schools and the people we knew in the law firms. And then it just grew significantly, and we expect for it to continue to, because we get reach outs from folks in different cities that say, hey, how about I get some of our folks in LA to be a part of this? And they started doing it. And now we're starting to, there's issues that pop up in LA that are civic related. And so we address those issues. So we're not just focused on, so this incident happened in Chicago. It's more, okay, this happened in Texas, this happened in DC, this happened in this law school in New York. And we're, putting out public statements and letting people know that we have a voice that's out here, and it's a strong, supported, backed voice. As far as initiatives, 2021 and moving forward, we have a huge undertaking that we're doing right now. Q1 is our initial kind of loading of the phase for our mentorship subcommittee, and Q2 is the implementation of that subcommittee. So we are going to do we're going to be one of the first groups ever, probably the first group ever to mentor all the way from the 4th grade through your 10th year practice of law. So we're mentoring 4th graders, junior high, high school, college, law school, first 10 years of practicing law. And if you're past that, you better be a mentor. So this is the first program ever. We're combining a couple of programs that we've affiliated ourselves with at the junior high and high school level. And then we've got law school programs and lawyer programs. So it's going to be a big, big undertaking, but we're going to be doing it because we think that that's going to help the pipeline. And everyone says this, and everyone knows what you know and who you're inspired by is going to affect you for your future, right? Me personally, I didn't meet a lawyer. The first time I met a lawyer was my first day at law school. That was my very first time meeting a lawyer. And that's unfortunate. Luckily I was motivated, self-motivated to push, to pursue this. But if you can meet someone that's already doing this and you're in the 4th grade and you think you might want to do it, that's going to make a big difference in your trajectory, especially if they take you under their wing. So we want to make sure to do that. Another big initiative we're doing is we have a civic engagement subcommittee that launched Q4 of last year. And we are getting together with different organizations in Chicago to deal with civic engagement issues, right? Police brutality, finances, healthcare, you name it, we're dealing with it. Every other week, we're dealing with something that may happen or pop up in the news. So you'll see, there's recent news about a professor that had an examination, and he had some comments there on the examination that were found to be completely inappropriate. We are addressing that along with the Black Women Lawyers Association, the Cook County Bar Association. And there's other things that just pop up and we deal with it. And then I'll say the third thing we're doing that we're very, very proud of is we're creating a database that's going to be, some of it's going to be public facing, some of it's going to be private facing, where members can find each other because, the best way to build is to refer each other and to know what everyone else does. And the other thing is, if someone that's not a member wants to know how to hire someone that is a member, we're going to make that available to them as a resource, a database that you can come in and say, okay, I'm looking for this type of lawyer in Detroit or Chicago, and boom, there it is. And so those are three of the main things that we're focused on this year, along with planning our 2022 in-person 3-day summit that we're going to hold here in Chicago.
I guess over these years, as BMLA has grown and as it's really, I think, connected with a lot of people, what have you been most proud of, at least with accomplishing in your term as both the co-founder and as the president of BMLA?
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm most proud of is, whenever we have a roundtable, someone immediately after that roundtable, lots of people actually immediately after that roundtable will send me a text message or an email, or they'll call me and just say, I really needed to have that conversation, right? That topic really is going to stick with me for a long time. And that made a very big difference to my day, made a difference to my life. So to hear those things, or someone saying, you know what, I was just giving up on my practice, right? I was just giving up on trying to get into a law firm. I was just giving up on law school. And having heard the panel or heard you guys talk about a certain subject, I'm thinking differently now. That to me that's priceless. The other thing that I think has been really big has, we've created kind of a job employment pipeline so that, if folks are interested in hiring, or interviewing folks from our membership, we've created a pipeline for that. And I could say, because folks report back to me, on average, we've hired at least 2 to 3 people, or gotten 2 to 3 people hired per month this year and last year, gotten them jobs, which I think that, especially during a pandemic, that's huge to say that 36 people have gotten a job just through a pipeline that just happened informally for an organization that didn't start too long ago. So, very, very proud of that.
If there are people who are interested in joining BMLA, is there anyone they should contact, or is there a process for how they can join the organization?
Yeah, sure. You just go to the website, blackmenlawyersassociation.org, and there's a sign up on there. You just click on that. It'll send an email to our email, and then we will put you onto the email list. And right now, just as an added bonus, we voted as a board and as an organization that since we are virtual, we are currently not collecting any membership dues. We are a non-membership due organization at this point. We expect that to change when we come back to be in person. That's going to help facilitate some of the big events we want to throw and host and do it the right way. But right now, it's free.
I have no, we're in the CBA. We have thousands of members. We've been around for over a century. But I have no recommendations to give to you. Taking notes here on what you're saying about how much you've created in this, couple of years span. I can't even believe it. I have one last question for you. I'm trying to improve my Zoom backdrop. Can you tell us a little bit about that painting behind you?
Yeah, sure, I can. So several years ago, I was introduced to an artist, local Chicago artist named Hebrew Brantley. If you go around town, you may have seen some paintings that say Flyboy, a guy that wears goggles. Hebrew Brantley is the creator of Flyboy. And so before Flyboy kind of blew up, I went to his gallery and I looked around for some paintings, and I told him I had X amount of dollars. And he said, well, that ain't enough. So I left. I came back with a little bit more cash. And I saw that this painting was in a magazine, the Chicago magazine. And I was like, I want that painting. And he told me, he's like, it's at a LA gallery, but it's still available. Call, negotiate. So I called, I negotiated, and I got this painting. It's 6 feet by 6 feet. It's called, 60 inches by 60 inches, so 5 feet by 5 feet. It's called My Secrets Keep Secrets. It is the first of the series. The second of the series, which was purchased about 2 months later at Art Basel down in Miami, Jay-Z and Beyonce bought the second series. Similar look, just reversed picture and a little darker. Mine's on the brighter side. And then subsequently, Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys bought the third of the series. And so theirs is just similarly bright like mine, but elongated. So it's a little longer picture. So yeah, he's a good friend of mine, and I tell him now, man, I just can't afford you, man.
That's awesome. So, again, hopefully someday you'll have the chance to meet some of his clients. Hey, who doesn't want to meet Jay-Z and Beyonce?
Yeah, hey, I hang out with them.
Right? But I mean, Michael, thank you so much just for taking your time out today to chat with us. I mean, this is something that has been just fantastic, just chatting with you, getting to know BMLA some more. And I hope that we'll just be able to see each other just going forward and seeing how BMLA will continue to grow.
Absolutely. No, happy to do it, Kenny and Martin. Thanks for having me.
No
Keep doing
problem.
what you're doing. You know, you're helping tons of people, and I can't applaud you enough. We'll reconvene soon, whether it's over lunch, drinks, or another interview.
Hey, absolutely. I'm happy to do it.